Be sure to stick around to the end of the video and we'll be doing questions and answers. Hi, we're Doug and Mary. We've spent the summer and the fall traveling from one end of the northern US and Canada to the other, and to the ends of the roads. We did it camping in our 2013 Toyota Sienna minivan, converted into a camper. We ran into our share of bad weather, bugs, high gas prices, and bad roads, but it had been an adventure of a lifetime. We try to stick to the back roads, and we can explore small towns and find the hidden gems like bakeries, breweries, and cool bridges. And we've been boondocking and wild camping wherever we can.
Last time we pulled into Fargo to spend a few days where Doug grew up and still has family. It's late October and the nights are getting long and cold, so we're on the final leg of the trip across the top of the Great Plains and back home to the Rockies in Montana.
We've made the trip between Fargo and western Montana many dozens of times over the years, and being the kind of people who like to roam off the beaten path, we've traveled every alternate route possible. It's a long drive through a lot of flat ground, and we normally like to chop it up a bit. But this time we're taking a bead dead west.
Eastern North Dakota is largely flat farmland, with occasional shallow lakes and wetlands, which are valuable for hundreds of bird species.
The western part of the state offers more interesting landscapes in the Badlands areas, and the state's only national park.
We spent the night at Camel's Hump Lake, near the Montana border on the edge of the North Dakota Badlands.
We are at Camel Hump Lake, and this is in western North Dakota, just a few miles before the Montana border. And it's just amazingly calm, unusually calm for North Dakota. It's a pretty little lake. It's just a stone's throw from the interstate, so we're going to hear that all night. But there's a nice little camp spot here. It's a picnic table. There's a duck out on the lake. And what else?
Something swimming across the water.
Oh yeah, maybe a muskrat. And we can hear some coyotes over here too.
Passing through Billings also meant looking up old friends.
There's a reason that they call this Big Sky Country. It really does seem like it goes on forever. While in Bozeman, we managed to quickly stop and say hi to Mary's grandson and his wife.
Winter poked up its head now and again on the remaining trip, with more snow in the higher elevations as we got closer to home. It was the trip of a lifetime, and neither of us wanted it to end. As we turned off the road and into our driveway, connecting the dots back to our starting location, we toyed with the idea of taking a shower, spending the night, and going back on the road in the morning. But life gets in the way with appointments, schedules, and within a couple of days, snow shoveling and chopping firewood. Our view of travel changed during our adventure. We will no longer consider the destination as the objective, but the journey is where the real memories lie. That's where we found out as much about ourselves as we did the places we visited. We loved the out-of-way trails and tiny villages, the end-of-the-road sunsets, lakes and creeks. For us, life is really off the beaten path.
We've received a lot of questions about our van and about our trip in the various videos that we've made and from friends and emails. So here we're going to try to plug away at them and answer your questions. Okay, first one. Did we bring a cat?
No, unfortunately, we did not bring a cat with us. The cats you saw in the video were cats we met at different campgrounds or places we stayed, or there was one at a winery, and they were all so friendly and curious, but we lost our kitty about 3 years ago, so no, we didn't have a cat with us. Okay. Another question that one of you asked was, did we have any mechanical problems?
No, everything worked fantastic. The only real problem we had was a knocking sound on the front wheel, and after some digging around, I found a nut on a stabilizer end link that needed to be tightened just the tiniest amount. That took care of it, and after that, everything just ran fine. We should also say that we were prepared for the worst, so we bought AAA roadside coverage, the best that we could get. It does work on some of the remote roads that we took up to the Arctic. And we also brought a tire patch kit and a 12-volt air compressor, but we didn't need any of them, so I guess we were lucky. Next question, what did we do about a bathroom? Now, this is the number one question. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Yes, that took a few days to get that routine down, but we each had pee jugs, and they hold about 2 quarts. Mine, of course, had a wide mouth. Doug's was an old orange juice jug, but the lids were very tight and they worked fine.
That really helped because you really don't want to be wandering around out in the woods in the middle of the night when it's dark and there's full of mosquitoes and bears and everything else. So those really did work great. In the morning, we either emptied them in the outhouse or a bathroom if there was one there, or dumped them in the woods, or if we just dumped it in the next outhouse that we saw. So not a problem. For number 2, we have what's called a luggable loo, and that's just a plastic toilet seat that snaps onto a 5-gallon pail, except we switched out the 5-gallon pail for a 3-gallon pail, which is a little bit shorter. And we didn't use it often, but when we did need it, it was handy to have.
And we used plastic bags and put them over the side of the pail, and then the toilet seat down and the lid, and kept it ready with some kitty litter in there. And then we had extra bags in the bottom, extra litter in the bottom. We had wipes, and it worked fine.
Yep.
It just took a little getting used to.
Yes. And again, we didn't have to use it too often. There were almost always outhouses or roadside rests nearby. Yukon seemed to have them everywhere, every 50 miles. Alaska really didn't hardly have any. So it just depended on where we were. When we got farther to the east, there were more coffee shops and restaurants and things like that you could stop at as well. So it wasn't too much of a problem. And back on the pea jugs a bit, once we rinsed them out, added a few drops of pine sol, and that really kept them smelling fine, and everything was just super sanitary. No problem at all.
And the loo was too. We didn't have any problem. We tied the bags real tight.
We double bagged everything. Yeah, it's no different really than putting your baby diapers in the next dumpster. So not a problem.
Another question was asked was, what about iOverlander? Did we use it exclusively?
No, we didn't use it exclusively. However, we did depend on it a lot for not just camp spots, but other things like where to get water, where to get propane, some things like that. It's real handy to have. iOverlander is a great app to have. It's an app on your phone, either if you're an Android or an Apple user, you can get one for either. But we also used freecampsites.net and Campendium a little bit. And then we kind of got good at being able to find places. We didn't really stay at truck stops or Walmart parking lots at all, but we were able to find trailheads and so on without too much trouble. If you kind of get used to it, you kind of know what to start looking for. So, next question. How much did we cook and how much did we eat at restaurants? There were much more restaurants and places, coffee shops and breweries and pubs and so on in the east than there were in the west. Depending on where we were, there weren't any places to eat or stop for anything to eat for days and days and days.
Especially on the way to the Yukon.
Yes.
We were out in the middle of nowhere, and so
yeah, we cooked most of the time. We never really out more than once a day, and we didn't eat out every day.
Another question that was asked was, would we change anything on the van design? It already has.
Well, we change things as we go. We'll go on a trip and then make a few little tweaks here and there, but basically everything that we went out with worked really well for us. Uh, we had a few things that we tried that didn't work, like we tried a tent, green tent that connected to the back of the van. We gave that up pretty quickly. It didn't work at all. And
because we have that box on the back.
Partly because of the box and partly because it takes so many stakes, and if we're parked somewhere that's on a road or a parking area, the ground is so hard you can't get a stake in anyway. So that didn't work well, but we always make a few adjustments, a few changes, and we're always in the process. The next thing we're probably going to do is try to figure out how to add another solar panel.
And an awning on the side.
And an awning.
Once we get the frame up there for the other solar panel, then we'll be able to attach an awning so we can cook under that awning.
And that'll cover our sliding door so that we will be able to open it up when it's raining without having any rain get in. So,
okay. Another question you asked was how did the furnace work in cold weather? Was the furnace enough?
Yeah, the furnace worked great, and we didn't need it really in June and July, but once it started getting cooler into the fall, we used it not every night, but many, many nights. Especially at the beginning of the night, we would turn it on, and we'd run it full blast for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and it would really warm up everything, and then we would turn it down to the lowest setting for the next several hours of the rest of the night, depending on how cool it was. And it worked just fine.
And you used very little
diesel.
You measured how much we used?
Ounces a night. Just a few ounces a night is all we used. And we only ended up filling our diesel tank once or twice. And it wasn't even empty when we filled it. So total for the whole summer, 3-4 gallons maybe, something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another question that was asked was, how did we take a shower?
Well, we brought along a battery-operated shower that drops into a bucket and it pumps out the water. We never used it.
No, because we stopped at truck stops or places that had public showers.
Campgrounds. Even if we didn't stay at the campground, we could sometimes use the coin-operated showers. Right. And I would go swimming every now and then, find a river or a lake, but Mary didn't really like the mosquito aspect of that.
Yeah.
Or the 35-degree water sometimes either. So, but it didn't go too bad.
A lot of times we would take a shower while we were doing laundry.
Yes.
And so that saved time, and then grab something. Maybe they would have sandwiches or something like that. We might grab something like that and take off. And
yeah, laundry days can take a whole day. Wash the car, wash the yourself,
vacuum
do the
out
laundry,
the inside of the car,
clean out the car, and pick up a few groceries, and that could take an entire day.
What type of gas mileage did we get?
Gas mileage, we got as much as 30 miles to the gallon, even a little bit more.
33, I think.
33 maybe at the best, and sometimes as low as 25 or so, depending on how fast we went. And that converts to, for Canadian people here, 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers to 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers. But remember, we were taking almost exclusively back roads. We were driving pretty slow, never really more than 55. And some days, some weeks, whole weeks, we probably never went more than 45.
Yes, so, especially on the road up to the Yukon. Up through the Yukon, up to the Arctic, that Dalton Highway, Dempster Highway.
Both of them.
Both of them, but the Dempster was really slow going, and it helped because we didn't have to replace a windshield in the van, and we never changed a flat tire.
That's right. And our tires are actually considered light-duty truck tires, so we were able to run them between 40 and 45 psi, which gave us a little bit better gas mileage too. So we did real well that way. Yeah. Next question.
How much did you spend?
How much did we spend? So, the entire trip of
18,400 miles.
Cost us $10,722 US. Gas was the biggest expense, and food was second, with restaurants, pubs, and coffee shops the largest share of that. And we didn't eat out that often. Like we were saying, almost never in the West, and never really more than once a day anywhere else, and not every day either. Campground fees were really way down the list, mostly because we looked for free campsites everywhere, and we stayed in motels a total of 4 times, but that was still pretty expensive considering it's that high up on the list, just for those 4 times we stayed in motels.
Okay, another question was, what about insurance?
So we get asked this question a lot too, and we have the best AAA coverage we can for roadside assistance. But other than that, we just have the regular van insurance. It's not a special RV policy or anything like that. And I guess if we did get totaled or something happened, everything that we did to convert the van into a camper will come out relatively quickly. So we could put everything into another 3rd generation Sienna with just a couple days of work. Almost everything kind of clamps on except for a couple tiny things. But it'll all come out, and it should go right back into another 3rd generation Sienna real easily.
Some of you asked what the diesel tank on the roof is made of.
Okay, that is made out of PVC pipe. It's 4-inch PVC with end caps on each side and a piece of small 2-inch PVC glued in at the top as the filler pipe. And it's got a tiny air breather on the top, drilled and tapped into that. And it holds about 2 gallons of diesel.
And if you were to change anything on it, what would you?
I would put some baffles in it to keep the diesel from sloshing back and forth when it's only like half full. Those could actually just be made out of PVC floor drains that you could push in and glue into place. PVC is real tolerant to diesel. It doesn't seem to degrade at all. So that really worked well for us.
Another question that was asked was, do we carry extra gas?
No, we have a 20-gallon tank that's on a Sienna, and the way we drove, we were able to get almost 600 miles to a tank with that. So we didn't need to take any extra gas. If you're driving a big motorhome that doesn't get very good gas mileage, I can see why you definitely would want to. And you can't always be assured that the gas stations along the way, like up to the Arctic, will be open. But we didn't have any problem with it. They were all open, so we gassed up whenever we could, and we were never less than half a tank of gas when we got to the next station. Next question is, what did we use for a mattress?
We had a 4-inch foam mattress, 3 sections of mattress, and all sewn together. And I took one of them apart because we needed to be able to get in the back to get our food out, and so it just didn't fold right. And we are going to be changing the mattress because we used it so much.
It's getting kind of worn out. And halfway through, we ended up getting yoga mats and putting them underneath because it was starting to get a little hard in a few spots. So the mattress was just not supporting well, and that we could feel the bed frame coming up through hips. So adding the yoga mats underneath, even though they were only 1/4 of an inch thick, really helped quite a bit.
It did.
Made a big difference. What did we do about mosquitoes? This is another often asked question. We had a lot of mosquitoes.
We did. We did have the nets that fit over our heads. We also had full jacket tops and pants that fit over our clothes that we used if we were out and there were a lot of mosquitoes.
We used a lot of DEET type mosquito sprays, and we also tried Sawyer's and some others, but nothing really was as good as DEET. And another thing that we really stumbled upon that worked just fantastic was Thermacell. which is, it's a little gizmo with a little butane cartridge and a repellent patch that heats up and puts out sort of an invisible fog that mosquitoes don't like. They say it's supposed to be completely safe, and it works pretty well in certain conditions and not so well if you're outside when there's a breeze at all. But inside it would work great. So we would turn it on when we were coming and going in and out of the van in the evening, and leave it on, and just the fact that it was in here putting out that fog, invisible fog that we couldn't see really or taste or smell, they would not enter. They wouldn't pack themselves against the screen or anything. So it was good to be able to open and close the doors without the mosquitoes coming when we had that on. And then once we were in for the evening, we would just shut it off. The repellent patches last for about 4 hours or 2 days, the way we were using it, and that really made all the difference, especially in the evenings. The refills aren't cheap, but this is a product that really did work well for us.
Next question. This one. Oh, I thought you already. Okay. What cameras did we use?
We used a Panasonic. We started out with a Panasonic that I really liked, but it didn't work more than a couple days before it broke down. So then we resorted to our cell phones, a GoPro, and a drone, as well as the dash cams. The drone worked pretty well, other than the fact that it was so windy so much of the time that we really didn't get a chance to use it that much. The GoPro worked pretty well, except that it seems like it eats batteries like candy, and we were constantly charging the batteries back up. So we didn't use that much either. So really, almost all of the photos we took were done with our cell phones, and they're nothing special. They're just Moto G model cell phones, and we got some pretty good pictures with them.
Another question was, why so many breweries?
Well,
we loved stopping there. They were like the heart of the town in so many different places. People came, families came, they brought their children, they brought their dogs. It was just a real nice place to be able to visit with people and hear about their travels or their towns, the place they lived, as well as enjoy a beer.
Well, sometimes we would just split one.
Yeah.
But they also are a good spot to stop and have a snack. A lot of them have some pretty good food at some pretty good prices. They almost all have free Wi-Fi, which was great because we weren't always able to get Wi-Fi or any kind of cell coverage for that matter. So finding a spot that had free Wi-Fi was great, so we could catch up on emails, download movies from Netflix, that kind of thing.
They also have bathrooms.
And they're a good spot for local information.
Yeah, places to see or places to go, because the locals know where. If you had a day, where would you go around here? And they would tell us, and a lot of times we would go, and it was really wonderful to see.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our trip by following our adventures and watching the last series of videos about our trip. If we get more questions, we'll put some answers in the comments below, and maybe make a few more videos if there are people interested in certain aspects about our van and what we did to convert it.
Thanks for watching.